Did you know the United States spends billions every year maintaining state borders that, in some cases, barely make sense anymore? Some states are so similar, you'd need a road sign to know you've crossed into another one, and yet, we treat these lines like they're set in stone. Here's a fun fact. A recent survey found that 70% of Americans couldn't even name all 50 states without looking it up. Makes you wonder, why do we hold on to these divisions so tightly? In today's video, we're diving into 10 states that should just merge, and exploring how blending neighboring states could unlock incredible potential. Imagine stronger economies, more efficient governments, and unified cultures working together to tackle the challenges of today. From Montana and Idaho to the historic split between West Virginia and Virginia, we'll show you why these pairs might be better off united than divided. Let's rethink the map and discover how these potential mergers could reshape America. Ready to challenge everything you thought you knew about statehood? When you think of Montana and Idaho, what comes to mind? Rugged mountains, endless skies, and maybe some of the best outdoor adventures in the entire country. But here's a surprising stat. Both states combined have fewer people than just Los Angeles County. That's right. Together, they boast just over 3.5 million residents, which is less than 1% of the US population. So why not join forces? Here's why it makes sense. Both Montana and Idaho share not just borders but a deep love for nature and outdoor culture. Skiing, hiking, fishing, these aren't just hobbies, they're a way of life. Economically, they're powerhouses in agriculture and tourism. Imagine merging their efforts. One unified marketing strategy could turn the region into a world-class destination for outdoor enthusiasts. And with both states already known for their breathtaking landscapes, from Yellowstone to the Sawtooth Mountains, the tourism dollars could skyrocket. Tourism. In 2022, Montana raked in $4.5 billion in tourism revenue, while Idaho pulled in $4 billion. Together, they could dominate the outdoor tourism market, competing with states like Colorado and Utah. Agriculture. They're both top producers of crops like wheat and barley. A combined agricultural economy could streamline distribution and amplify exports, benefiting both farmers and consumers. If you've ever visited Montana or Idaho, what's your favorite outdoor activity? Is it skiing, fly fishing, or maybe just soaking in the natural beauty? Drop a comment below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Now, from Big Sky Country, we're shifting to two states that may be small in size but pack a serious cultural punch. Let's head to New England, where Vermont and New Hampshire might just be a merger made in maple syrup heaven. Now, let's swap the sweeping plains of the West for the cozy charm of New England. Vermont and New Hampshire. Two states so intertwined culturally and geographically that many visitors struggle to tell them apart. Here's a fun fact. Both states are roughly the same size in area, yet Vermont's population is around 640,000, while New Hampshire is home to 1.4 million people. Together, they'd form a united front of scenic beauty, cultural richness, and economic potential. These two states share more than just stunning autumn foliage. Both are famous for their quaint small towns, love of maple syrup, and an outdoor lifestyle centered around skiing, hiking, and exploring their rolling landscapes. Economically, their combined tourism efforts could make them an unparalleled powerhouse in the New England region. Vermont's artisanal charm and New Hampshire's rugged mountains are already magnets for visitors. By joining forces, they could craft a marketing campaign that draws even more tourists to explore their covered bridges, farm-to-table restaurants, and world-class ski resorts. One of the biggest advantages of a merger is creating a unified identity that celebrates their shared strengths. Together, they could streamline government functions, reduce administrative costs, and work more efficiently on key issues like environmental preservation, which is critical in a region that values its natural beauty. For instance, they could jointly tackle challenges like river conservation and forest management, ensuring that their lush landscapes remain pristine for future generations. But let's not overlook the human element. Imagine the sense of community that could emerge. Residents of both states already have a shared New England ethos, a dedication to hard work, independence, and an appreciation for their picturesque surroundings. A merger would simply make it official. If you've ever driven through Vermont or New Hampshire, did you even notice when you crossed the border? Or were you too mesmerized by the golden leaves or snow-dusted peaks? Let us know in the comments what makes this region so special to you. Now, we're leaving New England's cozy charm and heading straight into the heart of the Midwest. Nebraska and Kansas, two states that, together, could form the backbone of America's agricultural power. Let's explore what happens when the Cornhusker State and the Sunflower State unite. Welcome to the Midwest, where fields of golden wheat stretch as far as the eye can see. Nebraska and Kansas are two states deeply rooted in agriculture and defined by their shared values of hard work and community. But here's a question. Do these two states really need separate borders, especially when they're so similar in culture, economy, and geography? Together, Nebraska and Kansas would cover nearly 160,000 square miles, creating one of the largest agricultural powerhouses in the nation. Kansas produces more wheat than any other state, while Nebraska excels in corn and soybeans. If they joined forces, these two states could simplify distribution networks, streamline farming regulations, and wield greater influence in shaping national agricultural policies. In 2022 alone, the two states produced a combined agricultural output valued at over $50 billion, underscoring their importance to the nation's food supply. And let's not forget tourism. Nebraska's Chimney Rock and Kansas's Flint Hills Scenic Byway are regional treasures, but these attractions don't always get the attention they deserve. By merging and pooling their resources, a unified marketing strategy could draw more visitors to these often overlooked gems, boosting local economies and creating new opportunities for small businesses. Residents of Nebraska and Kansas also share a strong cultural connection. Whether it's cheering for their college football teams, the Nebraska Cornhuskers and the Kansas Jayhawks, or gathering at county fairs, the community bonds in these states run deep. A merger could further strengthen these ties, creating a Midwest identity rooted in shared traditions and collective pride. How do you feel about Nebraska and Kansas joining forces? Would combining their agricultural strength make them an unstoppable powerhouse? Or is it better for them to maintain their individual identities? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear what you think. From the Golden Plains of the Midwest, we're heading to the Dakotas, two states with so much in common that you might wonder why they were ever separated. Let's explore how combining North and South Dakota could create a united front in the Great Plains. Let's head north, way north, to the Dakotas. Now here's a region where the division has always raised some eyebrows. You've got two states with nearly identical geography, similar cultures, and even matching names. So why not just drop the North and South and make it one unified Dakota? Think about it. Together, North and South Dakota would have a population of just over 1.6 million people. Still fewer residents than states like Nebraska or Idaho. But what they lack in population, they make up for in wide open spaces, rich natural resources, and cultural heritage. By merging, they could pool their efforts to manage their shared challenges and celebrate their unique strengths. Tourism is already a major player for both states, but imagine what they could achieve together. North Dakota is home to Theodore Roosevelt National Park, while South Dakota boasts Mount Rushmore and the Badlands National Park. A combined marketing strategy could turn the Dakotas into a tourism powerhouse, enticing adventurers and road trippers to explore the stunning landscapes both states offer. In fact, tourism in the Dakotas generates nearly $6 billion annually, a figure that could climb even higher with a united effort. Beyond tourism, merging the Dakotas would create a stronger economic base. Both states are rich in energy resources, with North Dakota excelling in oil and gas production, while South Dakota leads in renewable energy like wind and hydropower. Together, they could diversify their energy portfolios, attract more investment, and develop infrastructure that benefits both regions. Plus, a unified Dakota would carry more weight in Washington, gaining greater influence in Congress to advocate for rural interests and sustainable energy policies. But let's not forget about culture. Both states have a deep connection to Native American heritage, with tribes like the Lakota Sioux playing a vital role in shaping the region's identity. A merger could highlight and honor this shared history, ensuring that indigenous voices remain a key part of the region's story. Would you visit a united Dakota to see its breathtaking parks and historical landmarks? Or do you think the two states are better off maintaining their individual identities? Let us know in the comments below. From the sprawling plains and rugged beauty of the Dakotas, let's head east to explore two states with a complicated shared history, Virginia and West Virginia. These two states have been separated since the Civil War, when West Virginia broke away in 1861 over differences in economy, culture, and values. But now, more than 160 years later, is it time to set aside their differences and reunite? Here's the thing, both states already share so much. From the stunning beauty of the Appalachian Mountains to their rich colonial history, Virginia and West Virginia are like estranged siblings with overlapping traits. Merging the two could amplify their collective strengths while addressing some of the challenges they face individually. Economically, this merger could create a powerhouse. Virginia's economy is diverse, featuring robust sectors like tech, defense, and agriculture. It's home to major players like Amazon's HQ2 and a significant military presence with the Pentagon. On the other hand, West Virginia is rich in natural resources, with coal mining, natural gas, and tourism driving its economy. By combining forces, the two states could diversify even further. West Virginia's natural resources fueling growth, while Virginia's tech and innovation sectors provide new opportunities for the region. Here's an interesting stat. Combined, Virginia and West Virginia would have a GDP of over $650 billion, making it one of the top economic players in the country. Imagine the potential for better infrastructure, educational improvements, and job creation with this newfound economic clout. But let's not forget tourism. Virginia already draws millions of visitors to historical sites like Colonial Williamsburg and Mount Vernon, while West Virginia entices adventurers to explore the New River Gorge, America's newest national park. A united Virginia could create a seamless experience for travelers, offering both historical charm and outdoor thrills in one package. Of course, there's the cultural divide to consider. Virginia leans more urban and progressive, with cities like Richmond and Arlington driving its cultural vibe. West Virginia, on the other hand, has a more rural and traditional feel. But here's the beauty of a merger. It doesn't erase differences, it celebrates them. Together, they could create a state that's as diverse as it is unified. So, what do you think? Is it time for Virginia and West Virginia to mend fences and reunite as one? Let us know your thoughts below. Now, from the rolling hills of the Virginias, let's shift to the Chesapeake Bay, where two maritime neighbors, Delaware and Maryland, might just be better together. Picture this: crabbing boats dotting the Chesapeake Bay, their hauls heading to local markets where the aroma of fresh seafood fills the air. Now imagine if Delaware and Maryland, two states so intertwined with the Bay's legacy, came together as one. Let's talk geography. The Chesapeake Bay is the lifeblood of both Delaware and Maryland, supporting thousands of jobs in fishing, tourism, and maritime industries. A merger could mean more streamlined efforts to protect this vital resource. Right now, environmental conservation projects often require separate state coordination. Combining forces could simplify the process, leading to more effective preservation efforts and a healthier bay for future generations. Economically, the numbers speak for themselves. Maryland's economy is bolstered by sectors like biotechnology, education, and government, while Delaware punches above its weight in finance and corporate law. Together, they would form an economic powerhouse with a combined GDP of over $500 billion. That's no small feat for two relatively small states. Tourism would also get a boost. Maryland's charm lies in its historic cities like Annapolis and Baltimore, as well as its sprawling coastlines. Delaware adds its own flavor with beautiful beaches like Rehoboth and Bethany, not to mention its tax-free shopping. Imagine a single state that combines all these attractions under one banner. It could lead to unified tourism campaigns that draw more visitors and strengthen local economies. Now, what about culture? Both states share a deep maritime heritage, and residents often cross state lines for work, school, or even weekend getaways. A merger would feel more like formalizing an already existing relationship. And let's face it, calling it the Chesapeake State has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? But of course, there's always the question of identity. Would Maryland's residents want to share their famous crab cake bragging rights? Would Delawareans be willing to give up their first state pride? These are the debates that make the idea of merging states so fascinating and personal. What's your take? Would you rather keep the distinct identities of Maryland and Delaware? Or do you think a united Chesapeake state could make waves? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Now, let's sail a little further up the Atlantic coast to Rhode Island and Connecticut, two states where a merger could mean big wins for small communities. Imagine strolling through the cobblestone streets of Providence, then hopping over to Mystic for fresh seafood by the harbor. Now, imagine doing it without ever crossing a state line. That's the potential fusion of Rhode Island and Connecticut, two states that may be small in size but are overflowing with character. Let's start with geography. Together, these two states cover just over 8,000 square miles, smaller than many single states in the US. Yet despite their size, they share rich histories rooted in maritime tradition. From Connecticut's whaling heritage to Rhode Island's famed sailing culture, their coastal towns and ports tell intertwined stories of America's early days. Economically, this merger makes a lot of sense. Connecticut's strength lies in finance and insurance, boasting hubs like Hartford, the insurance capital of the world. Rhode Island, on the other hand, has thriving arts, tourism, and seafood industries. By combining their economies, they could tackle shared challenges like aging infrastructure and slow post-pandemic recovery with greater resources. Together, they'd boast a combined GDP of approximately $250 billion, punching well above their weight. Tourism would also see a significant boost. Imagine a single marketing campaign highlighting Rhode Island's pristine beaches and culinary gems alongside Connecticut's historic charm and family-friendly attractions like Mystic Seaport or the Yale campus in New Haven. The potential to draw tourists and their dollars is undeniable. Culturally, the merge feels natural. These states already share a sense of New England pride, from their love of autumn foliage to their fierce dedication to clam chowder, though the debate between creamy and clear broth might get more intense. Residents frequently commute between the two for work and leisure, blurring the lines even further. But of course, there are unique identities to consider. Rhode Island's nickname as the Ocean State reflects its coastal soul, while Connecticut's moniker, the Constitution State, celebrates its historic contributions to the nation's founding. Could these two identities coexist? Perhaps a new name like New Shore State could bridge the gap, honoring their shared coastline and maritime heritage. What do you think? Should Rhode Island and Connecticut team up to create a unified New England powerhouse? Or is their charm in staying small and distinct? Let us know in the comments. Now, let's take a dramatic leap across the continent to a potential merger that crosses not just state lines, but international borders, Alaska and Canada. Could it work? Let's find out. Now, this one might sound like a plot twist straight out of an alternate history novel, merging Alaska with Canada. But when you think about it, Alaska and its neighbor to the east have more in common than not. Vast wilderness, resource-rich lands, and a shared northern identity. Let's start with the sheer size of this idea. Alaska is already massive, covering over 663,000 square miles. And Canada? Well, it's the second largest country in the world. Together, they'd create an unparalleled northern territory that would dominate the globe in terms of natural beauty and untouched landscapes. Economically, this merger could unleash tremendous potential. Alaska and Canada share rich deposits of oil, gas, and minerals. Together, they'd become a resource powerhouse capable of reshaping global energy markets. Canada's established infrastructure for resource extraction could complement Alaska's reserves, potentially bringing down production costs and boosting revenues. Additionally, Alaska's tourism industry, worth over $4 billion annually, would benefit from integration with Canada's tourism marketing strategies, drawing adventurers to experience everything from Denali to the Yukon wilderness in one seamless journey. But this isn't just about economics, it's about culture and identity. Indigenous peoples across Alaska and Canada have long shared traditions, languages, and a deep connection to the land. A merger could amplify efforts to honor and preserve these cultures while promoting sustainable practices that benefit local communities. Imagine an initiative where Indigenous-led tourism becomes a centerpiece, showcasing authentic traditions and fostering cultural pride. Of course, there are logistical and political challenges. Alaska is part of the United States, while Canada is, well, Canada. Aligning legal systems, governance, and international relations would require serious negotiation. And let's not forget the pride of Alaskans, who might balk at trading in their status as a U.S. state for something entirely different. Still, it's hard to deny the potential for collaboration. Whether it's protecting their shared Arctic environment or bolstering economic ties, Alaska and Canada already function as neighbors with overlapping interests. A merger, however far-fetched, could take that partnership to the next level. Would you visit a united Alaska-Canada mega-territory? What would you call it? The Great White North State? Let us know your ideas in the comments below. From the frozen north to the sunny shores of the Pacific, our next pairing is one that might surprise you. What happens when you mix paradise with power? Let's find out. Picture this. The sun setting over Waikiki Beach, surfers catching the last waves of the day, and just over 2,000 miles to the east, the Golden Gate Bridge standing tall against a San Francisco fog. Now, imagine if Hawaii and California joined forces. Sounds like a dream, right? But this pairing could be the ultimate blend of paradise and power. Hawaii, often seen as an island escape, thrives on tourism, with over $17 billion in visitor spending annually. Meanwhile, California boasts the world's fifth largest economy, leading in everything from tech innovation in Silicon Valley to agricultural production in the Central Valley. Together, these states could redefine what it means to live, work, and play on the Pacific. Both Hawaii and California are melting pots of diversity, with influences from Asia, Polynesia, and Latin America creating rich cultural tapestries. A merger could amplify this, fostering an exchange of traditions, cuisine, and arts that would be unlike anything else in the world. Imagine a fusion festival where California's wine country meets Hawaii's luau traditions. Sign me up. On the business front, this merger would be a logistical goldmine. California's tech industry could spearhead initiatives to boost Hawaii's connectivity, turning the islands into a hub for digital nomads and remote work. In return, Hawaii's expertise in sustainable tourism could inspire eco-conscious practices across California's vast coastline. Together, they could lead the charge in tackling climate change, using their combined resources to develop groundbreaking renewable energy solutions. Challenges? Sure, but nothing impossible. The biggest hurdle? Distance. Hawaii's remote location makes governance and infrastructure integration tricky, but California's influence and resources could bridge the gap, improving supply chains and access to goods and services for island residents. Another challenge? Preserving Hawaii's unique cultural identity amidst California's massive presence. But with thoughtful leadership and mutual respect, the two could strike a balance. What could we call this new Pacific powerhouse? How about Pacific State? It's simple, it's elegant, and it represents the unity of two regions that share a love for the ocean, innovation, and cultural richness. What's your dream collaboration between Hawaii and California? Tech hubs in Honolulu? Surfing tournaments sponsored by Silicon Valley giants? Let us know in the comments. Now that we've journeyed through these imaginative mergers, let's take a step back and reflect on what all this means for the United States as a whole. So, what have we learned? State borders may seem set in stone, but imagining new possibilities reveals how much we could gain from thinking outside the map. From economic booms to cultural synergy, merging states isn't just a fun thought experiment. It's a vision for a more unified, efficient, and vibrant nation. But we know it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Mergers come with challenges, identity, logistics, governance, but the potential benefits might just outweigh the risks. It's about more than lines on a map. It's about building stronger connections and communities. Which state pairing do you think makes the most sense? Or do you have a completely new combo we didn't mention? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. We're curious to hear your ideas. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the fascinating world of state mergers, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. It's your support that keeps these thought-provoking conversations going.